What's up, fam? Gary here with Divergent Comics, and today I have a personal favorite in regards to the video that we're going to be discussing. A couple of things I wanted to hit first before we really dive into it. First thing, quick Divergent Comics update. As many of you know who follow me on social media, the Charger issue 1 has been dropped and released as of April, as of April of this year, 2022. A couple months after that, in June, I officially updated everything and put the Charger issue 1 on Webtoons. So if you have Webtoons, if you read comics on there, you can go check out the first issue of the Charger, and hope you enjoy it. If you have any feedback, any comments, even potentially a theory, I don't know, there's only one issue, but hey, if you have anything like that, let me know either in the comments on the Webtoon, hit me up on my social media. You can even comment on this channel, on this episode, and let me know on here like what you think. Another quick update to kind of really piggyback off of the Charger update, or the Charger issue 1 update. The next few months, I'm going to be working on issue 2 and 3 of the Charger, really just developing the scripts for those into more detail. It's going to be fun. I will say that issue 2 and 3 are really going to give you a sense of what this story is really about. You're going to see midway through 2 and all the way through 3, like who the big bad is, but like what the main antagonist is in this first story arc, and I think you'll be able to pick up on where it's going from there. So yeah, stay tuned. Anytime I release a new video, I'll try to give you all an update as to like what's going on in the world of Divergent Comics, whether it be with an update for specifically the Charger or any other projects that may be coming up. Hint, hint. But yeah, thank you all for your support, and thank you for just believing in what I do and allowing me to express myself in this way. But with that being said, what the title of the video is about, and what I would consider my favorite project over the last few years, how to reboot DC. As many of you know, DC Cinematic Universe is not only a mess, but it's more bad than good. We'll say that. They have a few hits, like the first Wonder Woman, Aquaman. People put Shazam in that category. I'm still on the fence on it. You can let me know in the comments why I'm wrong. I am not going to respond because I know I'm right. I guess you could put, I'm not even guess. I will put Man of Steel in that category too. But yeah, everything else outside of those movies that are in the DCEU, that doesn't include, I don't think it really includes James Gunn's Suicide Squad, just because of the placement and everything, but it technically does. So I guess you could put that in the other group category, but whatever. All that to say, DC's Cinematic Universe is trash. It's garbage. They didn't have a direction on what they wanted to do, and they just gave the whole universe to Zack Snyder and said, make your movies, but we're going to change things and we're going to make it so that it works this way, and it ended up becoming a mess and it didn't work out, which hurt everybody in the process, because then Zack Snyder's actual vision for the movies didn't pan out the way he wanted it to, and then DC ended up in this situation where they're having to reboot. So today I'm going to give my plan on how DC should reboot their universe. At this point, it's highly unlikely they're going to go this route, but seeing as how I can make this video because I enjoy doing this project, I'm gonna do it. So first things first, when it comes to rebooting the DC universe, everyone automatically goes to, oh, they should just do Flashpoint. That's what they should do. And kind of seems like that's what they're going to do with this Flash movie, which is why it seems like they're so bent on making this movie come out. I mean, outside of the monetary reasons, I believe they've spent a good 100 million on this, maybe even more if I remember correctly. It was like at least maybe 200 million. They spent a lot of money on this project. And we all know what's going on with Ezra Miller. They are out of control. I'm not going to touch on that. If you want to know my personal opinions on it, maybe hit me up on my messenger, or I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it in this video. But Flashpoint is cool, and it really works in many aspects. Flashpoint was DC's point to do, I want to say it was New 52 that they did Flashpoint, or that kickstarted the New 52 universe. And it allowed them the ability to essentially go the route of keeping a lot of things that were the same from the previous universe that they had, but make small changes, which is fine in many aspects in the comics. But with the cinematic universe, I personally believe it wouldn't work effectively, because the things that they would have to do in this Flashpoint film to make it make sense for the rest of the universe, I think would end up becoming even more messier than the universe is. Because by the end of the movie, they would have to explain and show why, let's say they decide when they do Flashpoint, they decide that Robert Pattinson's Batman is now in this universe with Aquaman and with Wonder Woman from the old universe. Well, that would work if in the Flashpoint movie they explain that whatever happened during the Flashpoint film somehow correlated to events that happened in the Batman movie. For example, when the Flashpoint comic came out, the Batman of that universe was still the same Batman that was in the New 52 universe. Only difference was, instead of him being, I want to say he was like, this came just after the Dark Knight Returns storyline. So instead of him being like this grizzled old man, he was only like 5 years into the game of being Batman. But the problem that made that so messy was that they then tried to fit like stories like The Killing Joke and Nightfall and all of that into that 5 years. So it became messy. That's kind of what they would end up be doing if they went this route with Flashpoint and the DCEU. So I think personally that Flashpoint would be kind of like a terrible way. I'm not going to say terrible. Would kind of be a lazy and messy way of rebooting the franchise, because then you have to try to fit these new characters into the universe while keeping the things that you like. And while, like I said, it can work, it can become messy when it comes to storytelling and narratives in later movies and later plots. So Flashpoint, but I will say, and this is going to tie into my next point, you can use a version of Flashpoint, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But for those of you who don't know, there was a movie that came out, I want to say 2020, 2021, called Justice League Dark Side War. That movie was pretty amazing. It's an animated movie. If you haven't seen it, it's on HBO Max. Check it out. It's really good. And it kind of sums up my idea on how they should approach rebooting the universe. Because we've already seen Darkseid. We've already seen Apocalypse. And actually, I forgot. It's called Justice League Apocalypse War, not Darkseid War. I got that mixed up. Apocalypse War. Don't comment in the comments that it's Apocalypse War. I already know that. I'm correcting it right now. But Apocalypse War. We've already seen Darkseid. We've seen Apocalypse. We know what they're doing. They've essentially announced themselves. Now, whether you're pro Zack Snyder or the Snyder Cut or a Snyderverse, whether you're anti-Snyderverse, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. They've already established in this universe, Darkseid is the thing. Darkseid is looking at Earth, and he wants the anti-life equation. We've also established in this universe that the Justice League killed off not only his nephew, but his highest rated general in his army, and just tossed his head into the portal looking at him like, they was just like cold with it, just standing there. So it's just like, okay, they've already established all of this. Where do they go next? So I'm gonna pause for a second. I'm gonna go back to what I mentioned, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. In that movie, they established Darkseid coming to Earth and decimating the Justice League. Like, he went through and ran everybody they fade. Like, the Justice League was not ready for the smoke. He came and he took Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman out. He made Superman stay on Earth with kryptonite in his system. Killed a good bunch of the League. Made Wonder Woman one of his Furies. Put Batman in the Mobius chair. Made him his god of knowledge that he summons at will. Like, he just Darkseid was a bad man in that movie. Like I said, you should go watch it. But at the end of the movie, they were able to defeat him because, you know, they used Constantine and Raven and Trigon and all of them. They just came all together. Technically, Trigon wasn't working with them, but because of what Darkseid did to Raven, Trigon being the dysfunctional father that he is. If you don't know who Trigon is, and if you want me to make a video about him, let me know in the comments. I'll do so. But Trigon, being the dysfunctional father that he is, decided to come out from the little jewel that's in Raven's head, and Trigon and Darkseid just went at it. They was just going blow for blow. It was an amazing little fight. But at the end, the Justice League was destroyed. Like, they were done. And what did they do? Constantine talked to the Flash, and he was like, Barry, you know what you have to do. Now, they didn't show Barry actually going back in time, but it's really heavily implied that he went back in time. So my idea would be to mix Apocalypse War with Flashpoint and make that the reboot movie. How would I do that? So here's the fun part. So we would take the first half of the movie, I would say really the first 2/3 of the movie, focus that on the Justice League facing off against Darkseid and his forces. We can spend like the first 45 minutes where Darkseid wins. And then we spend the next 45 minutes to an hour Justice League coming together and fighting him. Then that's where we go and do the Flashpoint aspect. But here's what I would suggest. Instead of him going back and in time, essentially changing one thing to get a different outcome, what if he goes back in time and he actually ends up on another universe? So the idea of Flashpoint is Barry going back in time, changing one thing. In the Flashpoint film and in the comic, it's him saving his mother. And it changes the outcome of everything, because in DC Comics, the way that it works, one point in time, if that changes, it causes ripple effects across the entire timeline. So instead of doing that, because again, I feel like that would be messy with what they've done already and trying to tie everything together, because everything's so disjointed, it would end up being messy. But if they effectively establish these other situations being on a different Earth, or for example, if they wanted to make Aquaman and Wonder Woman be on a different Earth but be the same person, and then have Robert Pattinson's Batman be in that universe but be the Batman of that universe, that could work, and have Flash go back in time, but he ends up in the early stages of that league's universe. And the reason why I say that would work is because then you completely disregard the old universe. You got rid of all of that. You set up and establish that the characters in this new universe, some can be the same actors, some can be different actors. So you get that difference without it being messy. And you can make it where, like I said, you can make it where each of the heroes, for example, like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, even if you want to keep Shazam, which I think I liked Zachary Levi as Shazam. That was one thing I did like about it. If you wanted to keep them as their perspective characters, you can do so, but it'd be on a different Earth. That way, when you go about this process of doing the reboot, it makes a little bit more sense. And then you can even set it to where these heroes have new movie ones, essentially, but similar or different stories. It gives you a lot more creative liberty if you just have Barry go to a different universe instead of just going back in time. Because going back in time, again, it doesn't, in my opinion, just because of the Batfleck situation and the apparently there's Henry Cavill Superman situation, it'll get a little messy. So that's how I would do it. Have Darkseid be the main antagonist. He wins, everything goes crazy. They come back, they beat him, but things are disjointed or out of whack. And then Barry goes back in time and he ends up on another universe. Now, the only issue I would have with that is I personally am of the contingent that we need to recast the Flash because Ezra Miller is a terrible person. So if we did that route, recasting would be a little difficult. It could potentially work because you could make it to where he goes back in time and ends up in the new universe, and somehow during that change of the timeline and the universe, he caused some type of ripple effect that caused him to change into a different person. I don't know, maybe. You could go that route. Now, something else that they could do that I think would potentially work to where Ezra Miller can get recast while they reboot and go the similar route that I've planned out in this video. They could have Barry go back in time, but in the time stream while he's running back, he runs into another version of himself, or he runs into someone like Dr. Manhattan. And in doing so, Dr. Manhattan, or the other version of himself, causes a change or interrupts him, and he gets lost in time like they did with Wally in the Rebirth series, or at the beginning of the Rebirth series. They could go that route. Now, saying that out loud, I'm not a huge fan of him running into another version of himself, but I actually like the Dr. Manhattan angle. And if you don't know anything about Dr. Manhattan, I suggest you go watch Watchmen, either the series or the movie, or go read DC Rebirth's Doomsday Clock. That was a good one. But yeah, that is my opinion on how DC should reboot their cinematic universe. Let me know in the comments what you think of the idea, what you think should happen. Poke holes into like my plan on how the reboot should go and my idea, and let me know what you think. Shoot, hit me up with your idea, how you think they should go about the reboot. Yeah, until next time, I'm Gary. This has been Divergent Comics, and y'all have a good one.